Yeah.
Mm.
That was your trailers are getting really good, and I like it. I think you should just make trailers for movies that we're not even doing. And just
I
post
would love to do that.
This one was a little bit more minimalist, but the effect was still the same. The other two, the ones where you're doing like the crazy,
It cuts,
the
the horror
juxtaposition of the horror and stuff.
Yeah.
You couldn't really do that with this one, unfortunately. But yeah, how you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Pretty good. We were supposed to have two guests, but one of them hasn't gotten here yet. If he pops in later, I'll let him in. But he was actually the guy who suggested this one. He's not here.
Typical.
Yeah. As everybody probably saw ahead of time, one of my favorite comic authors of all time passed away relatively recently, within the last month or so. Peter David. He's probably the greatest Incredible Hulk writer. I actually have literally his entire Hulk library right there. It's a little hard to see because of the lighting, but that's all those omnibuses right there are him. I had the pleasure of meeting him before, and he was one of the coolest. Like I'll never forget when I first met him, and he just had like all of his comics and stuff. He was very like not super commercial about it. He just had all this stuff. He would be at his table, and he was like, I was like, how much do you charge for an autograph? And he was like, nothing. And then I was like, well, okay. He was like, well, if you want to buy stuff though, you know, obviously. And then he had like a script from Young Justice, and he was like, oh yeah, that's one of my original screenplays. You know, it was literally just printed from. It wasn't like the one that they handed in to the actors or anything. And he said, yeah, if you buy it, I'll sign it. I was like, that's a terrible sales tactic because you just told me you don't charge for your autographs. So,
Please give me money.
But
I'm so hungry.
Yeah. So I actually, you know, I have one of this, which is it was a reprint of I forget which number this is. This is 393. So this was essentially they reprinted the origin of the Hulk. And if you look closely, you can see Peter David signed it. And I have several of these, so I'm going to be giving one of them away over the next, couple shows. And I'm also going to try to get that signed by Jim Starlin as well, depending on how that goes. I'm going to be meeting him soon. And so stay tuned. This is the start of the contest. Probably will end the end of July. But that being said, we do have a guest for today, so I want to bring him in before we go too far. And that is True Pop Culture 7, who I always almost get his name wrong because he only puts True Pop.
Well, don't forget it this time. No, thanks for having me. This is a joy to be on and discussing some superhero animated films. I've watched a lot through Marvel to DC. Yeah, this is going to be good. And
right.
You're going to need to recommend me some Hulk comics as well if you have a whole backlog there.
Well, I mean, obviously, anything from Peter David is worth it. If you haven't read the World War Hulk / Planet Hulk comics, they're good. Greg Pak was a pretty good writer as well. Obviously, Stan Lee did a good job. It depends on the era. I think I personally would recommend anything from Peter David. If you can read his run, he came back to it a couple of times, but he, in my opinion, really got the character. He understood that it wasn't just, a Jekyll and Hyde situation, that it was really a person dealing with mental illness, and he wrote it as such. Unfortunately, I was going to have him, like last time I met him, because I met him twice. The last time I met him, I had talked to him about possibly making an appearance on the channel. And unfortunately, he had a stroke like 2 weeks later, and he never fully recovered, and he passed away from it. So I never really got the chance to do that. But I can tell you that I did a micro interview with him, and that's exactly what he said, that when he was approaching it, he looked at it as somebody who had a severe personality disorder. So
that's interesting.
Not just a mindless brute. He really wanted the personality to be part of it. So.
What I was gonna say is, with Hulk, he's probably like in my top 5 most favorite heroes. And I obviously remember in Spider-Man important events. So Gwen Stacy's death, the black suit, we've got Daredevil, Elektra's death, and you've got all these important events for each character.
The 10 pole storylines, if you will.
Yeah. So for Hulk, I would say it would be like Planet Hulk and World War Hulk. But what would be some of the others? Would you know?
Future Imperfect. That's another one. The Pantheon Saga, another one. Trying to think like some of them are like non-canon in a way. Like, you know, a lot of people will point to Old Man Logan as being an important one for him. The Ultimate run was very good for him because they got to encapsulate a lot of the character. But yeah, probably the three most important storylines are Future Imperfect, Pantheon Saga, and then I kind of just lump Planet Hulk and World War Hulk into one storyline because it's really just a continuation of the same.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I think this would be probably. It would probably be the most recognizable, I would say, like the Planet Hulk, World War Hulk. If you ask, like, approach a normie, they might may or may not recognize it because of Thor Ragnarok.
Yeah, probably the fourth most important one, ironically, is not really his story. It's the Red Hulk story, which is more, you know, obviously a Red Hulk. But that adds some fundamental changes to the character as well because they killed Abomination. They did a lot of things with the character at that point.
See, I do remember Red Hulk, like it being a mystery. Oh, who is he? I even remember. We need to talk about it sometime. Earth's Mightiest Heroes, Avengers. I freaking love that show.
That show's theme song has lived rent free in my head for like 15 years. So,
yeah, I still have all the action figures.
That really great Hulk in that show, and I reckon I just get the impression that they didn't know, the writers didn't know who the Red Hulk was supposed to be. I don't think it was always supposed to be Ross as the Red Hulk.
So I remember in the comics they had the checklist at the end, and every time someone would die off or be revealed as not the Red Hulk, and they checked off Ross, and then it turned out to just be a life model decoy, which I hate. That's my biggest gripe with Marvel pre, you know, woke era, so to say, was that they would always just write things off as life model decoys, or it was a scroll, and that was just their way around bringing characters back. And it was just like, it was always annoying. Or it was a clone.
I mean, the Red Hulk doesn't even have the mustache, so it's like, come on, like it wasn't supposed to be him. Definitely, not.
But Joe, what were you saying?
I was going to say everything could be a scroll now with the MCU.
Yeah. Well, you know, with War Machine, he was a Skrull the whole time during the during everything. Apparently,
when Tony died, I just like, are you joking?
But first, I just want to say, I know that this is you know, our morning show, so people will trickle in slower than usual. But to those who are out there right now, superfan Rachel Percy, we will get going shortly. I just want to say thank you to everybody. Thank you to my panel, and let's get started with our first time with this movie or storyline. We'll start with you, True Pop.
Oh, first time. So this came out 2010. I remember this movie, watching it probably on my dad's computer or something like that. And I was a little too young. I think I was 11, probably. And, you know, we'll get into them, but the spike transformations terrified me as a kid. And I could never kind of watch past that. Always skip through those scenes. But yeah, I was watching some of these animated superhero films, and some scenes were very brutal in a sense, very drastic for like a impressionable little child. So yeah, I do remember that, and you know, later on in life, coming back to it, pretty good animated film. I'm glad I gave it a rewatch.
It was kind of the first like really violent one from Marvel, because up to this point they had done, you know, they did it. We were talking about it backstage, and I said we would get right into it pretty quickly. They had done a quick, compact little world of like DC was light years ahead of them in terms of animation. Marvel had their little block years ago with X-Men, Spider-Man, but they had a bunch of failed cartoons, Hulk being one of them, actually. And this was kind of their resurgence. They started releasing these short films on DVD. There was the Ultimate Avengers movies, the Invincible Iron Man. There was a Doctor Strange one and a couple of others. And then they did 2 straight Hulk movies. Yeah. And they were all pretty good. They weren't amazing, but they were pretty good. And then they did 2 straight Hulk movies. They did Hulk Versus, which was actually 2 micro movies put together. and then this one a year later. And this was kind of like, this was a departure. First of all, it was like almost a direct shot for shot recreation of the comic. Like there was a few things that were changed, but for the most part, it was very faithful. And number two is they really amped up the violence level, whereas like Ultimate Avengers was kind of PG-ish. This one they started to like, they added the blood, they added the brutality of the Hulk.
I would argue like some of the Ultimate Avengers did have some violence. Again, I do remember watching it as a kid, and the Chitauri were absolutely terrifying, and there was stabbing each other, freaking decapitating, like the normie mindset, right? Oh, if it's animated, it's for kids. But I was way too young when watching some of these, and yeah, apparent. I live in a somewhat religious family, and my parents were just like watching it. Should I be watching that? Kind of thing. But no, I still loved it. And yeah, coming back to them, I love them even more. Like some of the earlier Marvel stuff. I just wish they continued, because I think they would have found their footing. DC continued, and they made some of the best things ever.
DC has made some of the greatest animated movies of the last 2 decades. Then they made some shitballs recently too. They've had wild swings and misses with a couple of their like, I think it was the Crisis on Infinite Earths trilogy. The first one was really good, and then the second one was really bad. I heard the third one was worse. I didn't even watch it.
Yeah.
But Joe, how about you? What was your first experience with this movie? I'm guessing it might have been this stream.
Well, it's been a while since I watched it, but after watching this and doing the clips for it, I'm like, why did they stop? Why didn't they just keep going with this? Because I do say this is probably the best Marvel animated movie, or certainly up there with top 3. And it's just very strange that they decided, let's make this really great. As you said, it's mostly a shot for shot from the comic books. Like, why didn't you do this with everything else going forward? I mean, you have literally the blueprint of comic greatness. All you have to do is just animate it. So I'd never understand why they stop like that.
My guess is that they just were so focused on the MCU that this got backburnered, and they just eventually, the funding probably disappeared only because no one was paying attention. That would be my guess. They were basing it on a DVD sales model, kind of similar to anime. And I don't think that, because at the time there was obviously, there was Netflix, but there wasn't really a lot of streaming services yet when these came out. And also the Hulk has a serious distribution rights issues, because Universal still I think it's Universal still holds the rights to distribute it.
It's why they can't make a solo movie. Yeah.
Yeah. And this was Lionsgate specifically, but I don't know if they're like, Lionsgate is like an offshoot of Universal or something, but so I think that was the issue, was they just didn't want to deal with the distribution of the DVDs and stuff, and the MCU was taking off like wildfire at this point. It was right around when the first Avengers was about to come out,
2012.
Yeah, and then so like I think that that's what they cared. They knew that was where the big money was, and this was kind of just a side project that had to go.
Such a shame.
That's really disappointing when you say it like that.
Yeah,
I would, Joe. You mentioned like this might be the best. I would really like the Doctor Strange one as well. I'm not sure which one I would rank these early Marvel movies. Which one's the best?
I would love to see a list, because I've forgotten that a lot of these ones even existed. Ones that stand out are the Iron Man Technohorror. Yeah, the Technohorror one with Iron Man, that stands out to me. I think there was a Punisher and Black Widow crossover.
Yeah. What's the one like with Mandarin?
Hold on,
that was a TV show, I think.
So for this section, the ones that these came out in, it was 8 films. There was Ultimate Avengers 1 and 2. The second one was Rise of the Black Panther. Then Invincible Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Sorcerer Supreme, Next Avengers, Hulk versus Planet Hulk, and then Thor: Tales of Asgard.
I think Next Avengers was great, I think.
Well, that was the one where it was like kids.
Yeah, but I think they did a really good job. That was the sad part when I heard they're making a Young Avengers. I'm like, wow, it's going to be based off of this, but no, obviously it's not gonna.
I think those were kind of original characters, like the young kids.
Yes, the Next Avengers I think were made specifically for that. They were basically based on existing characters, but they definitely took some liberties.
Yeah.
As for me, with the first time I watched this, I actually I couldn't find it, but I did have the DVD for this, so I saw it pretty much right when it came out. Planet Hulk is a favorite of mine. I love the storyline. It was a very unique way for them to remove, because they obviously around at the same time that this was going on, they were amping up for the Civil War in not the real Civil War, not the American Civil War. But
like, how old is this movie?
And they needed ways to remove some of the more overpowered characters. The Hulk, Thor sacrificed himself for like the final Ragnarok or something like that. I don't remember. And they removed a couple of other characters, but Hulk was the one they basically were like, well, we're just going to ship him off to a different planet and let him do things over there for a while. And it almost felt like they were just doing it out of necessity when you look at the timeline. But now you see that it actually ended up being so important to the character. And I'll mention it more when we get into the slides. But like, it took the character and actually transformed him into a more sympathetic one. Because obviously Peter David did that years prior. And then they kind of went back to that whole like brutish style. And then they had to bring him back to this sympathetic character. So it almost goes in waves of like, okay, now he's just a brute. Now we care about him. Now it's like, and but yeah, that was my first time with it. But how does everyone feel about getting started?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Do it.
Okay, so it opens up. I love when a movie doesn't start on like a title screen. And it just, in this instance, it starts inside of a ship. And we get a very brief explanation from the Illuminati that
so Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, and is that
Black Bolt?
Xavier? Oh, Black Bolt.
And Xavier is a member of it as well, and Black Bolt.
Okay, so we're not seeing
Black
Xavier.
Bolt there. He can't talk. What does he add to the conversation?
Well, he can speak psychically. He could speak.
Oh, he could.
Okay.
Oh, good. Because I'm not going to try to learn sign language.
Yeah.
No.
Can you imagine
if he was like siding to the Hulk? Like, sorry, I had to do this.
It's like, what an inconvenience that would be.
Nah, Xavier would be better than Black Bolt here, but I guess X-Men issues.
Yeah, I think so that's Black Bolt, and yeah, the Illuminati were basically a like it was the collection of the smartest and most influential characters in the subgroup of the Avengers almost.
That's so weird. I don't see Captain Carter there at all.
Yeah. No. Meanwhile, on Sakaar, where he hasn't actually gotten there yet. But on Sakaar, there's the one of the priests of their like shadow cabal thing, and is essentially praying that they get their Sakaarson, who is supposed to be basically the Jesus of Sakaar. And while he's doing that, the ship crashes through the wormhole that he just. So essentially, what's going on is the Hulk breaks out of his containment because, of course, you can't hold the Hulk. And while he's doing that, he sends it off course, and it goes through a wormhole into the space of Sakaar, where it comes out, and that's where.
It's kind of, why didn't they just put a happier message when he woke up, saying, "Hey Hulk, you're fine. We're just shipping you over here. You have a disease. Just be calm. Not, hey, we drugged you and we're shipping you to a planet where you'll just."
Or even better, it pops up. Even better, it pops up, and they're like, "You've won a fabulous vacation."
Yeah.
One little line change in the movie never happens.
Okay, maybe you could teleport him, Doctor Strange wise, but maybe not.
Oh, we can't go down that road now.
Yeah.
Let's not try to add logic to their decision. They were like, "Hey, we have an old Quinjet that couldn't possibly crash, especially not with the Hulk in it."
Exactly. What I want to ask is, like, how did they lure him? I remember hearing some comic explanation how they lure him to the ship. With something, I can't remember exactly.
I don't remember off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and read.
I do think they kind of like tricked him. They pulled kind of a dick move to get him into that ship.
They were like, "Oh, hey."
Black Widow in lingerie.
Oh
invited him
no,
in, they drugged
Betty
him.
is in danger! Quick, get into the ship! Something like that.
Look, Scarlett Johansson. I mean, Black Widow is right here. It's
I was gonna say, you mentioned Betty. He gets over Betty pretty fast in this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, I guess we could compare the MCU's attempt to this.
Well, yeah,
I
of
don't-
course. I was going to bring that up a little later, but if you want to bring it up now, that's fine.
Yeah, so at the end of Age of Ultron, I immediately knew where they were going, but I didn't buy that Quinjet could go into space.
So the Quinjet can go into space. Actually, the Quinjet it's basically space and interstellar and atmospheric as well. It can do either or. The thing that's a little bit more unbelievable about that is that the Hulk in Hulk form set up the navigation computer.
Yeah, I just don't buy that. It wasn't done smoothly at all. I guess Joss Whedon just got some notes. The Hulk goes away in a jet, and then we somehow see him on another planet. That jump does not make any sense to me. And
I would have
the story they kind of skipped over.
I would have preferred if they would have just like had him get knocked into the Quinjet and the computer start itself and fly. And because like the Hulk can get knocked out briefly. He can't die. He's effectively immortal, but he can get knocked out and incapacitated. Yeah. And so I would have liked to have seen him get like knocked into the Quinjet, have maybe his head smash into a computer, and then apparently Blue Collar Loser's trying to send me $5 super chat. He read the entire run in prison. World War Hulk, loved it. World War Hulk is better because it sets it up. Yeah, I mean, I like both of them. I think like I said, I kind of just grouped them together because they're really just like part 1 and 2.
I really wish
World War Hulk gets a little crazy. It gets a little out there quick, but.
But I think we definitely touched on something really important before of questioning how come this all worked and stuff like that. Back then, when this movie came out, we didn't question anything at all with the MCU. It's like, oh, cool, the Hulk's in space now. It's just now things are so bad that now we're looking back at everything like, hey, this didn't really make much sense back then. How come they went with it?
Well, here's the thing: is when you're able to suspend your disbelief of certain small. Oh, there's a super chat. $3.99 from Blue Collar Loser. Apparently, he can't send $5, but he could send $4 minus a cent.
And he's spending it on Jack Daniels today.
Yeah. Pair character and what? Pair character exaggeratedly stretching his arm forward. Oh, you know what it is? It's probably one of his his stickers. For some reason I couldn't. I hate when it does that. That's one of the reasons why we're going to be switching away from this system. So we're going to be going to a different streaming software very soon. As soon as this one's contract is up. Yeah.
What I wanted to mention is, like, I guess the MCU could have learned from this short little scene alone. It could have been very beneficial for Civil War as well, with the government sending the Hulk into space. He's far too destructive. He's going to go. And it definitely kind of made much more of a catalyst in the Civil War era. But no, at Age of Ultron, Hulk sad, goes into a Quinjet. It's just so lazy.
It's funny whenever we say like the Civil War era, and I'm just like, General Grant showed up and he was like, "Look, Hulk, the Confederacy is done and we don't need you anymore. Please leave."
Wouldn't it be an awesome movie if they made the Avengers, but back then in Civil War times?
That would, like, and then World War Hulk is quite literally World War One.
Yeah.
No. The Hulks will all be slaves.
Yeah, I guess that could work.
And then they uprise.
Who's voicing Hulk, by the way?
I don't know. In the description, I just put it was starring Hulk. I didn't bother to look.
Because there's a voice actor for Hulk I really like. I can't remember his name. He did Avengers Mightiest Heroes.
I don't know. I can't. If I pull it up right now, it'll screw up my whole screen for the.
Why wasn't it just Lou Ferrigno for all these?
Lou Ferrigno, I mean, he basically has been associated with the Hulk forever. So, but So yeah, Hulk crash lands and is immediately attacked by locals because
Swarmed.
Charming welcome. Yeah.
these are Meek's people, the natives. But there's like two different versions of the natives. There's these ones who have like the yellowish, goldish skin, and then the black ones. And the black ones are the ones that nobody likes, apparently.
Space
Take that
race.
as you will.
Yeah. Originally, the Illuminati mentioned that they were going to send him to a it did, of course.
world.
Yeah, it made a big peaceful world with non-intelligent life. But I guess intelligent life tends to stab you with a spear, I suppose. So
Yes. Well, so it's part of Sakaar's thing. It's like essentially, if someone's there, you can like capture them and turn them into a gladiator and try to win freedoms and stuff. So that's, it's part of their culture.
Wow, what a place!
Yeah, that's where you want to be. So Meek's people don't fare so well, and then the Red King's Imperial Guard shows up and essentially takes over with a obedience disc, which has the ability to flood his brain with nanobots that can translate for him, which is a really smart way around the fact that the Hulk has a very limited vocabulary. So this is essentially translating his grunts and all of his thoughts into actual words that we can understand.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that if I recall correctly, it just becomes like the standard going forward. That's how that's how he communicates going forward, basically. But yeah,
I mean,
they capture him with the disc. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Again, I can't help but bring up Thor Ragnarok, but they just went with it. Like, what, he was on the planet for 2-3 years, and he supposedly learned some speech of a baby. But in here, they're just like, okay, well, we won't have that. We'll just...
So the one of the ways that they do Hulk is that when he is in his Hulk form, that's when he is mentally aging, right? So if he's there for an extended period of time, he's now getting older as Hulk. But like, as long as he's subdued by Banner, he doesn't. The Hulk persona doesn't age. That's why early on he's just a raging toddler that's just smashing things with super strength and jumping around. Like, you can imagine like a toddler child, but now he's goosed up on steroids and Mountain Dew. That's basically what the Hulk is. And so as he stays in Hulk form, and also Sakaar, the world, the time flows differently on their planet. He also went through a wormhole, so he was Hulk for equivalency times are different. So he actually has a mentality much better when he comes back to Earth later. He's more of like a teenager.
Yeah, I remember they were like really surprised. Wait, he talks, wears armor, wields swords. What the hell is this? This is not like the Hulk.
Yeah, he came back. He was essentially like an angry teenager at that point.
I kind of like the balance of like somewhere in the middle Hulk, like not the smart Hulk that we all know from the MCU that we love, and like the baby kind of who can't even talk. Like you want it somewhere in the middle where you can kind of talk and communicate.
So after he's captured, he's imprisoned, and he's imprisoned with the group. Obviously, we recognize Korg here, who would be bastardized in Thor Ragnarok beyond belief.
Why did they do this to him?
Yeah, but there's Meek, who becomes one of the more important characters in the Warbound crew.
I think Meek was also in Ragnarok, but he was like this squishy thing. He never said a word or something.
Yeah. So Meek actually has the second best storyline in Planet Hulk, in my opinion, because he goes from, if you even watch him, he goes from being a incredibly scared and like he always uses shields to like block himself, to eventually becoming an actual warrior and one of the Warbound Hulk's, the World Breakers' most trusted lieutenants. So it's a really good micro storyline within the storyline.
And Korg is a space pirate as well.
Yeah, he's I forgot the name of his people. It also starts with a letter K.
His race does show up in Thor Dark World as well. Thor fights him, which we'll kind of see how that's relevant.
Well, they actually, he is Cronin. That's the name of the race. He actually He appeared. He was in the very first issue that Thor was in. He actually his debut was in Tales of Suspense or Tales of I forget which one.
That's interesting.
Why do they make him look like the Thing though?
Just the way that it was. Let's see. He was Tales of Mystery 83, but he disappeared for basically ever and didn't come back until this. What was that? Meek is dead for most of Ragnarok because it's funny somehow. Yeah. yeah. But yeah, the yeah, Korg is actually one of the oldest characters in Marvel, and no one even talks about it. But some of the other characters that are there are Elo, Lavinsky, Hiroem, other characters that would eventually go on to join the Warbound or die. It depends on the situation. Who is each one of them? But they essentially they look at Hulk as a valuable asset because on this world in Sakaar, if you are a gladiator and you win, just like in Rome, if you win a certain number of fights, you inevitably win your freedom.
Do you think he got beat too easily, the Hulk, early on in this?
You mean when he fights?
Yeah, no, I'm saying like when he got to the planet, he was getting stabbed and stuff like that. Do you think that maybe they, I don't know, nerfed him a little bit too much in the beginning?
A little bit. I think that he had well, let's talk about it over the clip. So, True Pop, just remember you have to unmute yourself for this.
Yep.
So it should go. It's the wait, which one is it?
PH1, it should say.
It doesn't have a title. Which is it? The one with the lava?
Oh, it should be it should be the one with the lava.
Okay. Okay, yeah. So the first battle is the Cronin, Margus specifically. But yeah, they do sort of nerve. I kind of always chalked it up to like he's adjusting. He's he was beat to shit, then he crash landed and he was shocked into submission. So he gets better as he goes along.
It's a really great fight scene, a really long one too.
Yeah, they're pretty like drawn out in a good way.
As we get this crushed.
Yeah, I just like how there's they don't have the I'm a little upset that there's no like big swinging rock dicks after seeing 28 weeks later. I now I need just large swinging rock dick whenever someone's running.
I'm sorry, what does that have to do with 28 weeks later? Oh,
28 years later. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, didn't it just come out like yesterday?
Yes, you need to see it already. It's mandatory.
I can't leave the house. I have a newborn right now. I have to wait till I get a nice copy online with Russian subtitles.
and never forget, you also have to have the guy who's trying to sell, who's the blender guy. The blender guy is my favorite.
Yeah. Did you mention that he was weakened when he went through the wormhole? I guess that was a justifying thing. But they are, throughout the film, they're still impressed with his overwhelming strength. So there's no limiting the Hulk. Eventually, he's going to come out on top.
Sorry.
Well, they even say in the beginning, there's no limit to his
Grandmaster. I was like pointing, like Leo, like, oh, he's there.
Yeah, that is Grandmaster. Yeah, Grandmaster. So that in Thor Ragnarok, they just eliminated the Red King and just made the Grandmaster both of them. I don't know why they did that.
What a strange idea! They just loom it in the background like that. Wouldn't he want to be front and center?
Well, he's supposed to be like the Collector and the Grandmaster are brothers. The Collector loves to collect things. The Grandmaster loves gambling.
It's a little on the nose, don't you think?
Yeah. Well, the Grandmaster, his whole thing is that he loves gambling. So like he's essentially the one. He's like the primary bookie of the gladiatorial combat. That's the best way I could put it.
There's a cameo from Star-Lord in the audience. For some reason, he's watching this.
Yes, there is.
Well. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Did you get that? Did you get the screenshot of that or not?
I did not know.
It's okay. It's not a big deal. But yeah. So the Hulk sees the Red King and goes to attack him, and that's when we are introduced to Kyera, who is essentially it's the number one lieutenant for the Red King, but also probably the most powerful warrior on the planet itself. Let me see where we're at. Okay, 19. Okay. She takes out Hulk immediately, no problem.
Yeah.
And then the Red King decides he's going to fight a severely weakened Hulk. Yeah, in his ridiculous power armor. Like, this is so. It just comes off so much like Lex Luthor.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely.
Especially when he gets like punched, like his mask kind of like comes up as well. And it's like,
go ahead.
Like, you kind of can't help but think like these aliens, they don't know what Hulk is capable of, and because we the audience kind of have meta knowledge. Like Hulk's faced millions of these things before, like robotic armies, freaking people in big metal suits trying to punch him out with Hulkbuster. These are things he's familiar. That's why he's kind of got a certain advantage. He's got a lot more experience than all these guys think, basically. So that's kind of
he holds all the cards that they don't see, basically.
Yeah.
Joe, you were saying something?
Oh no, just agreeing with you.
But yeah, he he does get cut open, but he takes out the Red King fairly simply, and Kyra steps in and dispatches him again.
Whoops his ass again.
Just whoops his ass.
Yeah.
And so later on, they'll explain that she's an old strong, which is a sort of mutation on their planet to make their her specific species incredibly powerful. They don't really explain that up front, but they hold a little makeshift funeral for their fallen captain. Oh, hey Neil, what's up? And we do find out. So the shadow priests, I forget what they're called. They mention them. Speak of how that they believe that the Hulk is the prophesied Sakaarson savior, or the Sakaarson being like their Jesus or their prophet, their Messiah, their Muhammad, whatever equivalency you want to use. Some of them reject it, and they actually don't go into detail on this, but
on the prophecy.
On the prophecy, but there's two sides to the prophecy. There's two sides to each Schwartz. And there's the Sakaarson, who is like the savior, and then there's the false prophet, like their version of like the Antichrist, which is the world breaker. They never say it specifically in the comic, but I've always said, because later on he would become World Breaker Hulk, I've always said that he's the World Breaker. Sakaar is the Sakaarson. They don't really go into the details here, though.
Interesting. Because I was just gonna say, I do remember. Sorry, guys, spoiling a probably more than 10 years old comic here, World War Hulk. I do remember one of the shadow priests being the one who betrayed Hulk. Like he was the one who initiated it all, basically. Yeah, there's the whole storyline of the ship blowing up, and he was.
They trim a lot of that into a lot of the extra stuff they just kind of cut off. And they just maintain the primary storylines for the most part, and they streamline a couple of different things. I'll highlight later.
Wait, is there a reason why people keep crash landing on Sakaar? Because I don't want to spoil later on in this, but we do have a lot of prophesized messiahs landing on this place every day, it seems.
So it's where it's located next to a wormhole. Basically, if you fly too close to the wormhole, it sucks the ship in and crash lands you. It essentially throws you right into their atmosphere.
So it's like a garbage dump, basically, of every strander going in there, and that's why they have so many stuff in there.
It's one of the reasons why time flows differently on their planet too, because of their proximity to the event horizon.
What do they call it in Ragnarok? The anus in the sky or something?
Yeah, the giant butthole in the sky or whatever.
Yeah,
but that's essentially what it is. Sakaar is essentially like a dumping ground of the galaxy.
Yeah, when you think about it like that, it's absolutely perfect for like a gladiator. You've got all the species you want to throw in there.
But yeah,
you feel like you could avoid the wormhole. It doesn't just pop up on you like that.
Yeah, you'd think. But they all share their backstories at this point, and quite possibly my favorite one. So it's a very quick recap of what I was saying. Tales of Mystery '83, where the Cronin have a quick fight with Thor, who has no lines, might I add. They didn't. They just. It's just a fight that we don't. And they explain it in a way. It's just perfect. So this took place at some point before like humans were around for some reason, and as they're beating him.
Wait, I'm just saying, like, that guy that's praying is like, oh yes, I prayed the Messiah shows up. Oh, the Messiah's here. Gets lasered. Damn.
Yeah.
So I know Thor's been about like millions of years. What exact planet is? I'm more so interested to hear. I heard Korg's perspective, all right, and he's a space pirate. I do want to hear like Thor's perspective here as well. Like what exactly was he doing here? I know Thor loves to fight and then protect Asgard and etc. But like, what exactly?
Well, this would be Midgard. But yeah.
This would be Midgard. Oh, Earth.
Midgard. Yeah, they crash landed on Earth. Oh. I to tell you the truth, I don't. They definitely changed this a little bit. This is not like a specific. Like I said, he debuted in Tales of Mystery, and that was a bit different. This is a very, very basic version of that, because Beta Ray Bill wouldn't even be around at this point in the story. Yeah. Beta Ray Bill wouldn't show up for quite a while, and they're trying to make this out like this is because he mentions that the world is very primitive and doesn't have any like intelligent life. Now I'm not sure if that's him saying
that it was in the Norse times, maybe.
Yeah, like it was in the before we had a lot of technologies, or if this was supposed to be only a few years ago. The timeline doesn't really work very well here. So once again, Beta Ray Bill, how long was he at Sakaar? That's another like question too, because he's just disappeared. So I just kind of say that the timeline is a little shady here, but they take out Thor almost immediately. But then Beta Ray Bill shows up because he's fucking awesome, and I love Beta Ray Bill. And
Marvel fans today, why is Thor a horse?
I love Beta Ray Bill is one of my favorite characters. I love him
a lot.
I would like to discuss his like story because I don't quite know it in detail. Was he originally picked up Mjolnir?
Yes.
Right. And they built
it was when Thor was deemed unworthy of it was one of the various stories where he was deemed unworthy of Mjolnir. And Beta Ray Bill essentially became the new Thor. Then they fought over it, and then Odin, as a token of appreciation for Beta Ray Bill, made Stormbreaker. So they both had a weapon. It was
hammer.
Yeah, specifically Walt Simonson invented him. I actually have a great. Yeah, go ahead.
Don't you prefer Jane Foster for who she was like, worthy of the? Don't you prefer that instead of?
No, I love Beta Ray Bill, and if I can find it, let me see. I might have it here. Actually,
what was her iconic line from Love and Thunder? Taste my hammer or something.
I don't know if I have it here, but I actually have the debut of Beta Ray Bill signed by Walt Simonson. Walt Simonson also did a sketch cover for me. I'll show it if I can find it. Of half the face is Thor, the other half is Beta Ray Bill. It's a really cool sketch cover he did for me.
Damn, it's awesome.
But yeah, one of my favorite characters. And honestly, like I used to be in camp, why the hell hasn't he appeared in the MCU yet? And now I'm in camp, I'm glad he never appeared in the MCU. He probably never will.
It'll be a woman, of course.
It'll be Beta Rayna Bill.
A horse with giant jugs.
What's annoying, like after Endgame, they could have done these, like picked up these storylines, like your Planet Hulk, like your World War Hulk. There was still room for them to kind of explore with better characters, but no, they go with Miss Marvel, Ironheart, Echo. Like, what are you doing? There's plenty of other stories they could explore.
But even worse on that, they had all the storylines kind of made the events of the previous things not null and void. It's like, Captain Falcon's now fighting the Flag Smashers. Yeah, but we have 1 million Skrulls in every form of government. That seems like a bigger deal than tiny 90-pound anorexic ginger with superpowers.
Skrull Invasion should not have been a show. It should
No,
have
So
been
it's not.
I don't have the sketch cover here or the debut, but this is the issue where where Stormbreaker was made. So
Ooh, nice.
yeah, that was the debut of Stormbreaker. That's signed by Walt Simonson. And then I also have in this particular box, this is a pretty iconic cover too of them fighting over. Yeah. So I don't. If I could find it later, I have like these because some of them get taken to various conventions and stuff. How do I do this now? Hide on stream, show on stream. There we go. Okay. And but yeah, so basically together, Thor and Beta Ray Bill beat the shit out of the Cronin, and we don't have a picture there, but Beta Ray Bill chases them through space. And inevitably, he ends up here. We'll find that out later. But so yeah, then we get to the second arena battle, which is them versus the Wildabots, which I always felt that this was kind of a letdown.
Yes.
They beat the shit out of these things so much quicker than they did the Cronin.
It's so not impactful whatsoever. They just a couple bots show up and some terrible. Yeah. It's like we already did this before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is
I
like
guess in the first one because Hulk kind of like wasn't particularly involved that they kind
he
of
didn't care.
Yeah, struggled.
How come they weren't like shocking him the entire time when he was trying to take down that door?
I'm not even sure they noticed he was taking down the door in the first because remember he was the brand new one. He hadn't proved himself yet. They were watching the death and fights, and they assumed that he couldn't open the door anyway. So, like, what's the difference?
Yeah, and I guess since we kind of skimmed past it, like, Hulk kind of does seem guilty about not doing anything once, like, the first guy dies.
Yes, he looked over and I'm very upset. Like, maybe I could have prevented this a little bit.
Yeah. What's interesting is like on Earth. Hulk does a specific action. Let's say he saves someone, whatnot. The army still goes after him. So regardless of what he does, he always gets like the shit end of the stick. But in this world, Sakaar, his actions have a dramatic influence over everything. Like his actions could be drastic here. He could change stuff here for the better or for the worse. Much more so, and it's interesting to kind of grow into this world in a sense.
So yeah, he like I said, I put it in the description. He kind of acts. So one of the things that Hulk has always done is he fights, but he doesn't want to. He wants to be left alone. That's his whole thing. He doesn't want to have to fight. And then he ends up on this world where fighting is, a way of life. But he finds a home here despite that because his fight, like you just said, his fighting does have a purpose here. It's not, he gets positive affirmation and stuff from his fights in this world, as opposed to, Earth where we just shit on him no matter what. And yeah, so he starts to kind of accept it. He's like, okay, well, this will work. I can deal with this,
Can we answer this question right here? Just what are the chances we'll see a furious Hulk like this again?
They would have to get rid of Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Like, there's like a 0% chance we'll ever get this. Apparently, Hulk, he's supposed to be in Spider-Man movie too.
Yeah, I have no idea how that's gonna work. And the Punisher, John Burton's Punisher, has just been announced yesterday of being in Spider-Man.
Well, it's Smart Hulk too, so I guess they're gonna together do some science on something.
It's weird because it's like, so you have Hulk, you have Punisher, you have apparently Silver Samurai in this as well. I'm just like,
yes, and Mr. Negative too, and Scorpion. They're just gonna cram this thing with everyone. It seems.
I'm just like thinking, how is this supposed to work exactly? What's the idea here?
They don't know.
I don't think they should go with Smart Hulk because what would Smart Hulk add here? essentially.
What do you mean he's going to do a dab for the kids? Like at the restaurant?
Yes, but it would make much more sense to have your standard like street level Hulk, especially if Punisher is in there. So that's.
I mean, I wouldn't call Hulk street level, but I get what you mean.
I was going to say, sir, you X for way too much right now.
When I say street level, I picture Avengers as Mightiest Heroes, where Bruce Banner is in his backpack running from the army, going into like the old diners and stuff like that, chatting with other people. That's what I mean, like kind of like on the road, kind of hitchhiker, kind of. I guess that's what I mean, like street level.
He can't hitchhike now; he's huge.
Yeah, what's he going to hitchhike?
Yeah, you can't put him in
an 18-wheel tractor trailer is going to have to pick his ass up.
He does still. No, he was Bruce Banner in Shang-Chi, I think. He was a hologram there. So it was just him in a brace.
The fact that the way you said that summed up Shang-Chi in less than a second. You were like, he was, I think, maybe he was in Shang-Chi, possibly.
What the hell was Shang-Chi?
They were discussing the Mandarin rings. I get
no. It's the bangles.
He's confused. The bangles,
yeah. The Kang bangles that are now the Doctor Doom stuff.
Yeah, the world makes.
I don't know what the MCU is viewing these days. So
you don't even know.
I'm just flying through this fight, by the way.
Is Hulk supposed to be Smart Hulk, Permanent Hulk, or is it supposed to be Mark Ruffalo, Bruce? Like, I don't think they even know. To be honest,
that's the biggest problem, is that no one knows at all, and they're just throwing money at the wall and just praying that someone watches this movie.
I guess Dark Hour, you would probably know, but I guess Hulk is staying Hulk here. They never revert to Bruce.
My guess is that one of the things is it allows them to mitigate the rapid aging of Mark Ruffalo by making him a CG Hulk all the time. That's he is gay. I mean, he wasn't particularly young when they got him for the role, which was weird, but he was never a young looking guy. Being a person who's always looked older than I am, I feel for him in that sense, but he aged incredibly rapidly between Avengers 1 and Avengers 2. And I think they kind of realized that if they just left him in Hulk form, they didn't have to worry about how old he looked. So that's one of the reasons why they probably do that.
I'm not saying that you're wrong, but that's kind of a ridiculous reason. They probably did it exactly why you said it, but yeah, they
didn't want to CGI a post-credit scene in Shang-Chi. They just went with Ruffalo. They ignored the plot. But what about in this animated film? Why does he never revert to Bruce?
Basically, Bruce. Oh, you're asking about this. So this Bruce feels incredibly. He feels very betrayed by the Illuminati and the world in general. So he essentially gives in and just accepts that lets Hulk run control. It's he kind of merges with him in a sense by allowing him to, because there has been times where Banner has given in and allowed the Hulk to be the main persona, so to say, just willingly. And in those times, he tends to be a little calmer. He still retains a lot of the strength, but he's not in rage fit mode all the time. It brings him down, but he doesn't, because Banner is always angry at specifically Iron Man. He never can calm down enough to get out of that mode.
That's a great point. And I know I started off by saying this is probably one of the best animated Marvel movies, but if they would have had scenes like that where maybe Hulk's looking in the mirror and then sees Banner talking to him, almost like from League of Extraordinary Gentlemen with Jekyll and Hyde, I think that would have been a really great idea, just to hear Banner's perspective of some of these things.
You had some of that in like the Ang Lee Hulk. You get some of that in Earth's Mightiest Heroes. Have you ever checked out Dark Hour, the Immortal Hulk run?
A little bit of it. I wasn't reading comics as much then when that one was around, but I've read a little bit of it.
I've heard it's quite good up to a point. They apparently go into some eco stuff later on, preachy eco stuff.
One of the problems with like post once Disney took over Marvel Studios and they started using them more as and they started using the comics as an IP farm. Essentially, they started just making storylines that had terrible endings because they knew they could change it later and they could just harvest what they wanted, piecemeal it together. So a lot of the better writers didn't get to finish runs that they started. They were handed off to, shitbag writers that didn't know what the hell they were doing, which does actually yield to the rise of a lot of indie comics recently. Image and IDW having a lot of really good stuff that no one even talks about because a lot of those disenfranchised good writers ended up just going there and doing their own thing. Ed Brubaker has some of the best indie stuff you'll ever. He did possibly the best Captain America run ever. In my opinion, it's the best Captain America run ever. And
was that when Bucky was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
they should have went with him.
Yeah, and if you know anything about him, his best stuff is like crime noir, and he has some of the best crime noir stuff that you can get. And it's mostly Image. That's mostly who produces it. So, distributes it, I should say. Yeah. So I just kind of fast forwarded through that second battle because not much happens. He just beats the shit out of these Wildabots and their mega Wildabot thing. And let me put it this way: the notes say the Warbound defeat the next enemies, the Wildabots. That's the entire.
It's very lackluster, I think, especially when the first fight scene. Well, even the Meeks fight scene was so good, and then you get the second one, and then this robot one just fell so flat for some reason.
Yeah, it's probably it's weird because you would expect this to be one of the higher points of the movie, and it's a little bit of a low point.
Yeah,
but it does lead into this, which is Kyara's revelation about her past, which True Pop said that this was one of the more scary scenes when he was a kid. But she's essentially talking to Hulk about it, and she explains that when she was younger, her village was attacked by what would be called the Spikes. We heard about this up to this point. We've heard about the Spike Wars, but they don't tell you what they are, and this is essentially what they are. They're these alien life forms, little tick-like things that get on people, infect them with these spikes. It's pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah.
And she was able to survive because she has what's called the Old Strong, which is a mutation in her tribe that allows them that makes them incredibly strong and durable. She had to kill a bunch of members of her own family and her own village, which left her mentally scarred. But she then would go on to be rescued and become the first lieutenant of the Red King, who put an end to the Spike Wars. So we thought,
or so we think.
Yeah. And she does warn him that if he continues to win and become popular, it's going to be dangerous for him because it's almost like it's like Gladiator. It's like the movie Gladiator in a comic form. It's he's becoming a cult of personality that is threatening the love that people have for the Red King, and the Red King don't like that.
And how did Gladiator end?
Very similarly, but in this instance, the Hulk doesn't just fall over dead. So,
yeah.
Now my favorite part. So for their final match, they've already won 2, and if you win 3, you basically win your freedom. And now we've already had the setup for it, but we get Beta Ray Bill, which we have a clip for this one. You have to unmute yourself, True Pop. So yeah, there he is. Horse Thor, if you will. Thorse.
Is he the only one, last member of his race, Beta Ray Bill?
No, there's other members of the race. So one thing that is funny about this is in the comic, it wasn't Beta Ray Bill. Do you remember who it was, True Pop?
I don't think it was Thor, but...
No, it was Silver Surfer.
Really?
There's no way Hulk beat Silver Surfer, did he?
No, he couldn't. I don't think Silver Surfer would he'd look at that slave this and he'd just rookie.
Hold on.
How did the Silver Surfer? Did he go at light speed and just end up in the wormhole?
It would make sense that he'd be the one who'd get stuck in a wormhole because he travels space a lot.
Hold on.
Would he trip and fall into it?
Hold on. Let me find the.
That's interesting that they went with Silver Surfer of all things.
That doesn't make out of all the characters. Like, what
But
does he? Does he have his surfboard?
I do think that it makes sense that he'd get caught up in the wormhole, but for him to be maintained by the slave disc, I'd say.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Is
I guess it would depend. Like, at what stage was Silver Surfer in there? Was he still a herald of Galactus? I'm guessing not.
No, he was long since no longer the Herald of Galactus at this point. Hold on, I just pulled
up
the.
He's kind of depowered without Galactus. Is my
Well, it depends on which at what point. Hold on,
That's kind of really depowered.
Hold on.
That's weird. I always thought it was Beta Ray Bill in the comics.
Nope.
Hold on. It makes more sense.
There you go.
Oh, okay.
I do have it on my shelf somewhere.
Hold on. I grabbed the wrong tab. Hold on. Give me a second here. That's the wrong tab. I opened it up and it gave me the wrong one. Let me here we go. This is the one I meant to grab. Let me you guys could talk amongst yourselves for a moment though.
Yeah, I just feel like I forgot his name. I was gonna call him Horse. I was like, that makes more sense because he has an actual gladiator weapon. Yeah, I'm not imagining the Silver Surfer to show up with just the surfboard to bludgeon people with.
Hold on, this will explain it. I just had to get the right. For some reason, it like I said, it opened up the wrong panel when I did it.
I mean, there are plenty of characters you could go with, but I don't think I would have went either with Beta Ray Bill or Silver Surfer to fight Hulk in the arena. I think I would have gone with someone else, but
there you go.
He does have the surfboard. Wow, I was actually joking.
His shield. He's the Silver Savage.
It's interesting because
how I feel about this.
It's weird because Silver Surfer is known to be kind of peaceful or trying to be.
Well, he has the disc, and it makes him do what he's told.
That is interesting.
I mean, I don't know if it's good or not.
Yeah, I want to watch
a better option. I reckon.
Yeah. I want to watch the fight again. We're gonna have to unmute ourselves again, but let me play it again. But yeah, he basically he beats up everybody, including Hulk for a little while, but then Hulk beats the shit out of him.
Yeah, well, necessarily so. And he was like, just
that's my favorite right there.
Yeah.
Hulk,
they are the two powerhouses. Yeah.
This is where it gets. He just beats the piss out of him. It's punching him in the face on the ground.
Did he do the same?
Everybody in the crowd just goes silent because
they were just like, what?
Well, who is Beta Ray Bill in this arena? Is he?
He's their current champion.
So how come he's not released then?
The rules change depending on what the Red King decides.
If up to a certain point, if a gladiator is that successful, you kind of want to keep them. So
he might. It also might be one of those situations where he is the personal champion of the Red King, as opposed to these other ones who are not. Yeah, they were brought in by other soldiers and stuff, so they're.
Yeah, we know he was brought in the same time as Korg as well, so he's not been much longer than the others here, as well.
They are granted their freedom, but only if they decide that they will, murder their friend Elo. Yeah. I actually never knew how to pronounce her name. I don't even remember hearing them say it really in the movie. It's Elloe. It's Elol. Yeah. Korg is really easy to pronounce. It doesn't matter how you're reading it. Some of the other names are a bit. Yeah. Elloe. Yeah.
Elloe or something like that.
Yeah. I don't.
Alien name.
Some characters there's some characters that when you read their names for years and you just don't know how to pronounce them, you just make up your own pronunciation. You know, like I said, Korg
wait,
is pretty easy to pronounce no matter how you read it.
There was Thanos, and what was the other way people pronounced it?
Thanos.
Thanos. Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's Dark Side, and I've heard people pronounce it differently because Dark Side and then like Dark Sade. I've heard.
It's a second person, isn't it? The Sod or something.
Yeah. I mean, it does get annoying sometimes when you're reading a name like that and you don't know how to pronounce it. So. But yeah, so they refused to kill her for their freedom and are
and in the previous scene, Hulk kind of shows like, okay, I've grown kind of attached to these guys. He went back to his cell and warned them that, hey, if you step outside, we're basically dead. So that was kind of like a more character growth with Hulk, which is surprising to see because he rarely grows. Because we kind of breezed over that as well.
Well, yeah, I mean he has a lot of character growth in this, and it's all really quick scenes.
But
yeah,
and then,
but Hulk, of course, it only affects him so much, and he almost kills the Red King here, but he does not.
Beta Ray Bill does take off everyone's slave discs. I wonder if that was
that was a scene before.
Yeah,
because like all
let me see
gladiators are kind of running.
Let me see if that. I don't think we actually had it. No, it's not in there.
The electric thing, like he electricizes everyone's slave discs.
The next
Those things seem like really powerful, but I guess the perfect weapon for that would be a enchanted hammer that can
manipulate electricity and lightning.
Yeah. I guess I wanted to know a bit more about Beta Ray Bill, Dakar, since he's one of your favorites. How, because he does say that he's heard of Hulk. How much exactly is he familiar with like Earth stuff?
He's actually pretty familiar with Earth. I mean, he does a lot of his own stuff, but he comes to Earth pretty often because him and Thor work together a lot. But he does. So it's hard for me to tell you exactly how familiar he is with every single person. I mean, he does interact with Hulk in the comics before this. I think they just made that line specifically for the movie.
Yeah.
To explain how he wouldn't have met him. Because go ahead.
Do you think like it's a wise call to just leave him on Sakaar as well? Would he not like tell anyone as well? I guess that's the question as well.
Oh, you mean Hulk? He opted. He gave him the chance to leave with him, and he said no. He wanted to stay. He wanted to be part of this. So that's, in my opinion, that's the bigger character growth than him warning them. Warning them is one thing. He opts to stay on the planet and try to help them. I think that's bigger.
His answer just makes sense to me because it's like, why would I want to return when they launched me into space? And it's
like they're just gonna do that shit again. Like
like you launched me into space. Like you rejected me here. Why would I want to go back to you? Like, geez.
Here I am. I smash and they cheer. It's all I've ever wanted.
Isn't it really crappy that I would have loved to hear that line later on? Like if they made not a sequel, if they made like a cinematic universe of this, where the Avengers eventually go to Sakaar and try to recruit the Hulk. Wouldn't that be a fun conversation of him telling us, like, wait, why would I join you? You literally sent me to space to die.
I mean, he also gets laid a lot here, so they're get it on a lot. And
they're just throwing red pussy at him.
Yeah, they're just like, and it's not his cousin, like in certain storylines, there's no implications there. But
what we could have had.
But I'm sorry. But the Red King is not particularly happy with the way things are going, so he orders Kyra to kill the Hulk.
The Red King kind of sucks when you look at him, how much shorter he is, and how he's
a joke.
Yeah.
His whole thing, I mean, I'm trying to avoid saying it, but he wouldn't be king if he didn't have the technology and all that shit. We'll get to it in very soon, actually. She hesitates to do it. So instead, he turns to who they thought were who the Warbound thought were an ally, but turns out to be their Brutus.
As soon as I saw oh, he's a bit rounded, he has this type of tone or voice, he's gonna betray them, isn't he? You can sometimes you can just tell these kinds of things, oh, who's gonna be a traitor, oh, they're overly friendly in the tone and kind of
I would never do anything to you.
Yeah, sure.
They just he just keeps winking. He's just like, don't worry, you can trust me.
And when I was on the rewatch,
he's like, I do what?
I'm an ally.
Yeah, on the rewatch, I was 5 seconds into this guy talking or being introduced. I'm like, he's gonna betray them, isn't he?
I don't trust this red dude.
Yeah, basically. So while this is going on, it's everybody but the Hulk is at his house. Because he's supposed to be what's the best way to put he's supposed to be like Bail Organa is in Star Wars, where he's he's in the government, but he's really with the resistance kind of thing. But he betrays them, and Meek finds out because some of his people are also being held, and he goes to talk to them, and they're like, yeah, you're kind of fucked. It's basically the way they say it. He sneaks around because he's a black bug. Let's be honest.
I was gonna say, if he was a yellow bug, he wouldn't blend in with anything.
Exactly. It's it's got natural camouflage.
Exactly.
And he catches, yes, the implications. He does catch the governor talking to the Red King, and is promptly disarmed for it. This becomes part of his character actually going forward. He never, unlike Bugs IRL, he has an actual bone structure, so he can't grow his arms back. For the rest of his existence, it's just all taped up when he's a warrior in the Warbound. But he does kill the governor or whatever. It's governor, right? Or is it senator? I don't remember.
We'll go with governor. That sounds about
governor. Right. In quite possibly the coolest way ever. And I should have told you to get this a clip of this, but his arm that is not attached anymore, essentially the thing from Adam's Family's itself over to a knife and stabs the governor in the back.
I missed that. So the chopped off arm moves by itself?
Yes, it's moving independently. Eventually, it's no longer available to him, but in this moment, there's enough to it that he can do that.
Oh.
Kyera catches...
Clever bug.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah. Clever bug, I was going to say. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Kyera does catch up to the Hulk and tries to convince him, to come back, basically. And while this is going on, she notices we don't have the still of it, but a rocket in the air, which is the same type that carries the spikes that she saw, the red ticks, the spikes, and she basically shits herself.
PTSD.
Yeah, it's the red people, because there's two different types of them. There's the grays and the reds, just like there's the blacks and the yellows. It's just
all the implications are just there.
Yeah, so there's the spikes right there. I don't know if we have it, but it doesn't show it too well. But it like attaches to their skin, then burrows under.
Later on, we have a clip of it.
Okay, then yeah, that's fine.
I think we have it.
Kyera comes back to defend the village, and this is really when she's having her flashbacks, because this child is being attacked by her mother, and it reminds her of her own mother attacking her. Hello there, Eraserhead. But yeah, was this where you were like terrified as a kid?
Yeah, it was like these scenes. Yeah, I was like, what's going on here? Oh no, why did Sally transforming into freaky spike people? They could have just went with like a cliche zombie design, but I guess they went with like spikes. It's something like a much more cooler. Alien. Yeah, much more alien kind of disease in there. And Hulk is immune to it, luckily, which is
well, he's not though.
a little
He's
bit.
not. He's
Yeah.
immune to it to an extent. It does actually take over his body, but he maintains some of his mind because of his healing factor, which they have shown really well over the course of time. There was one point where Kyra punches him in the chest, and it's supposed to be like a heart punch, and she just watches it heal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people forget this about the Hulk. He has the best healing factor in Marvel. Everyone always associates Wolverine with it, but it's actually Hulk who has the best.
Yes.
Well, it's either him or Mr. Sinister, one or the other.
Oh, I didn't know. I thought Mr. Sinister had more of a robotic.
No, Mr. Sinister also has a healing factor as well.
He didn't have one in Logan.
That wasn't Mr. Sinister.
That was
it was. Yeah, the dude. Well, that's what they were implying. He was in charge of the Exis Corporation.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Really?
Yeah.
That's lame.
That's what I always read the theories, because when what was it? What X-Men
you mean
movie
the
was
Richard
it?
Grant guy?
The old guy, like Logan shoots in the face at the end of Logan.
Huh.
Yeah, because at the end of the previous X-Men movie,
that's kind of lame. I'm covering this now.
Yeah, that was who they were implying was in charge of all this stuff because of the after credit scene of the previous X-Men movie.
Mr. Sinister was, I'm pretty sure, like in the comics, what do you call them? A no, I can't. I'll forget the term for it. It's something to do with genetics and
geneticist,
something like that. Yeah, and like especially during like World War II days, and he discovered that he was like a mutant that kind of lived.
He was effectively immortal as well.
Yeah. Interesting background Mr. Sinister has, but I didn't know he was like had a healing factor. But yeah,
he has a healing factor as well.
The thing about Hulk is like these little parasites, they make you like over aggressive, attack everything. But Hulk already has that in droves, so it's not like gonna deter him much, I suppose. You're right, Dark Hour. They do have effect on his body and whatnot, but
it kind of puts him in that uncontrollable rage fit. That's essentially the way I would put it. It makes him into what we know as the Hulk. My favorite thing. So right before this, they're being cornered near this cave, and Hulk jumps. He does his long jump, and he does this awesome thing where he pounds the stairs and flips them into a door to block the cave that they've all gotten into. That's right before this. And this is where Kyra actually finds out that the Red King is not only responsible for this spike attack, but also the one on her village.
I really do think he's an idiot here. Like, why would you tell her?
Yes, he really is. Your most powerful asset. Yes, I was the one that kind of made you murder your whole family.
It's like that old Vince McMahon clip. It was me, Austin. It was me all along.
And it's like,
wow, that was fantastic.
Was it? I can't. I can only hear it in my own head.
I thought your Batman impression last week was pretty good. That was spot on.
When I'm not trying, they come out better. It's when I'm trying that I fuck up.
It's like
now, that's 3 straight. So I did on open bar. I did Stitch. I did Stitch, and no one expected that one to come out of me like this. And
Hannah means to give up for adoption. Yeah,
but it's I can also the one I can only do it when we eventually do Transformers. I can only do it in like spurts of maybe 2 words, but I can do Starscream. But it hurts so much to do for an extended period that I can only do it maybe 2 or 3 words. My foot, like that. But this has just turned into the what voices can Dark Hour do show.
We have to find a way to incorporate that into every episode of this.
That one's also hard. That's annoying to do because I have to scream it. It's quite literally impossible to do Starscream low.
But kind of makes you question how they did it in the booth.
Well, I think that was what was it? That was Frank Welker. Frank Welker is like probably the greatest voice actor of all time. So he did so many things, so many different voices that you wouldn't even expect. But back to this movie. So yeah, this is one of the dumbest things that he could have possibly ever did.
I think he's just so full of himself that he just expects her to listen. But it's just like, if you have any sort of manipulation tactics and whatnot, like any sort of thinking whatsoever, you'd not tell her this.
She
wouldn't
at least
have figured it out. Yeah. I mean, she probably would have figured it out eventually, but like, you want to get rid of the Hulk, so how about you don't tell her? You know, it's pretty simple, but hey, whatever.
So let me see if I can find one of our. I'm not sure if it's in this, but when we see her with her weapon, none of the clips, none of the screenshots really show it. The one thing that's always annoyed me about her weapon is when she swings it, the blade on the other side is turned towards her. So because they're like they're opposing, they're not both. The blades aren't both facing the same way. So when she swings, one blade facing forward, the other one's coming back at her. It's a horrible weapons design. We might be able to see it later. If we see a later one,
at the end.
There's a possibility that it's in the. Let me see. Maybe if I scroll back a little bit here, let me see where she is. Nah. Okay, maybe you'll be able to see it. But so the only way to stop these the spikes is by burning them. Whether it be with this like nuclear bomb or he has the Death's Head guards, which was that was a slight replacement because it was originally just the Imperial Imperial Red Guard in the comic. They were organic. They were human, like not human. They were their species, but the Death's Head guards actually make more sense for what he's doing because they're mechanical. They're androids. So.
I like his robot. They kind of look like Ultron bots in a way.
A little bit, yeah. They got some Ultron to them, or a little bit of what was the ones that were in the first season of Mandalorian? What were those called again? Were they the
Death Troopers?
Death Troopers.
The Death Troopers, yeah, the Death Troopers. And those they have that. There's that cold, mechanical. There's no emotion to it, which always makes it scarier. Hulk here is almost completely taken over by the spikes. Here it is. That's where he throws so I was wrong at the timing, but yeah, that's where he throws the stairs and blocks it. And the town gets nuked because, why not? This would also fuse these rocks together. They'd like never get out of here. It would basically make it into like a thick molten rock glass thing. They'd just be stuck in there. Even with Korg's strength, I think they would have a lot of trouble getting out. Hey, what's up, Tomby?
What's up? I think it's like, I'm trying to picture it. If the Red King didn't tell her, she'd still have enough information to figure this out. I mean, like,
yeah.
Because he
I think she already kind of knew deep down, but was in denial and then she just couldn't deny it any longer, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. Because like he's using it a second. He hasn't used it since the first time because he wanted to find an old guy. In here, it's like his most effective weapon. So obviously he's gonna use it on the Hulk. So you could kind of put the two and two pieces together. Maybe ask him about it. But no, he just tells her because we need to move on with the story. It's 90 minutes. So
I should have had more clips.
80 minutes.
She's actually holding a
dying
child.
This is another one not dying, ash, just ash, and it just slowly dissipates. That's another thing. She's kind of in denial here that she's like saying like it'll be fine, and she like runs away and she's like crying, holding this non-existent person.
He'll be fine, and then it wasn't fine.
Yeah, very Pompeii-ish. Yeah.
Well, yeah, actually, that's a great way to look at it. It's very Pompeii. That's a great way to look at it. And then the Red King once again commands her, and she listens. She finds Hulk's body and declares him dead. She does the old she holds his hand in front of his mouth. It's like I wish she would have just pulled out like a little mirror I've been like, yeah, there's no steam there. Just dead. Now, here's the one thing in the comic, it's more heavily implied that he's kind of playing along with this. Here, it's just it seems like a happy coincidence that he's still alive. Like he was just taking a nap and you just woke him up. But in the comic, it's way more implied that this was a setup to get.
I kind of get the Harry Potter vibes, where after Voldemort shoots him and what's her name goes up and whispers, "Is Malfoy alive?" So I thought that's what she was gonna do. Like, hey, just pretend to be dead for a second.
Yeah, it's I'd have to go back and read it because I haven't read the Planet Hulk in a very long time. Because Planet Hulk is one of those ones I have to read the omnibus. I can't just sit down and read the core issues. I need to read everything surrounding it, and that's a commitment. You're talking about like a 500-page read of comics as opposed to 180. So had this not been one of those ones that was added to the schedule later, I might have committed to reading it a little bit throughout the year just to be more familiarized with the refresher with the story. But I haven't read it in a number of years. But if I recall correctly, there was definitely implications that was what happened. She basically said, like, just play along, pretend to be dead, but he's not dead. And so the Emperor the Red King was going to behead everybody, but instead he's going to probably be beheaded himself here as the rest of the Warbound get their chains undone so that way they can fight. And I think this is where we have another clip, right?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Let me pull that up. Another silent one, so we're going to have to unmute ourselves.
Yeah, they kept getting me on the music for the clips.
I do. It's fine. Yeah, I do like that. As he's about to be punched in the face, it closes the visor.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight scenes are definitely the best in here.
There you go. That's actually a great. If you looked at that when you saw her, I'm sorry that I cut you off there, but if you look at her weapon, if you get a chance to again, I'll play it again if I need to. You'll see that the blades don't make sense to the way she swings.
Why did they go up for that?
I love me.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's see. I guess maybe they're not going to show it. That's the most Hulk right there. That's so Hulk. Yeah. But yeah, there you go. See how if she swings one way, the other blade will come at her. It's very weird design. But yeah, she does do this. She saved one of the spikes, and then the Death's Head guard.
You know what those droids look like?
What do you think?
Predators?
Yeah, the Predator with that stupid robot at the end. Do you know that was meant to be Ripley originally?
Why?
Yes.
That pod. I don't know why.
Wait, the Predator one where they had the armor?
Yeah, because they're weaponized autism. Yeah, that one.
Yeah,
that's stupid idea.
What does it look like though? That before I derailed your train of thought.
Yeah, the Predator robots. Yeah.
Oh, that's what you were gonna say. I was joking. I didn't realize that's what you were gonna say.
Because with the dreadlocks and then everything. Yeah.
I like that now. I like that now she's like a good guy. Her tits are out.
Yes, she's like, look, I got these.
Listen, we have to make the son of Sakaar here, so
Sakaar, son of Hulk. But the ending is, pretty much just ends. You have the final fight, and then she's like, well, you're king now. They love you. And here you go. Just go forward, and here's your people.
Yep. Until that Quinja is gonna.
Well, I think they originally intended to do a World War Hulk animated movie.
How could they not think about it?
Yeah, I'd love to see a World War Hulk like this. And it surprised me that there wasn't a continuation.
Well, with the world of AI, we could just make our own movie. That's probably what's going to happen in a few years.
What's up, Jamalama? You're just coming in at the very end here, unfortunately. But you can always watch the it's not even going to be re-up. It's going to be there. But yeah, so that was World War Hulk. Quite possibly the best adaptation of him ever. Like I think I people always shit on the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk, but I like that one.
I love that one.
I don't know why people shit on that one. I think that people just don't like Edward Norton. But
I do like Ang Lee Hulk.
Some people like the Ang Lee Hulk. I was never really a fan of the Ang Lee one, only because I didn't like the fact that he just kept getting bigger and bigger, and like he becomes comically large by the end of it.
I like the more psychological element to him, his father being the villain, all that stuff. I was really interested in.
That was a pretty good one, but I think the problem was that the mutated dog. We really didn't get a really awesome villain at the end. I don't think.
I really like the confrontation with his dad towards the end. Who played his dad?
Nick Nolte.
It was Nick Nolte, right? Yeah.
He was.
I haven't seen that one. That one I don't really go back and rewatch. So a lot of the early Marvel movies from like the 2000 to 2008 was when Iron Man came out. There's a few that I'll go back and rewatch. The Spider-Mans, X-Men movies. Hulk kind of just falls in the I'm not gonna bother. Same thing with like
Ben Affleck Daredevil. Don't you rewatch that one?
Oh yes, with the park fight. Once a week, once every day. I wake up. That's the first thing I watch every morning. I'm just
I did have the director's cut at some point, and does
it make it better or worse?
The Foggy and Matt scenes are pretty good, but I can't say the rest of it. I don't think they knew what they were adapting. Like, is this supposed to be the Punisher or the freaking Daredevil or Batman? Like, I don't think they knew what kind of character they were.
Though I have always said that one with had the greatest on-screen Kingpin. That much better than the I can't stand the D'Onofrio one anymore.
No, I don't like him at all.
He was good in the 3 seasons of Daredevil. The rest is just Marvel just ruined him.
Vanessa, paintings, art.
I liked him in the Netflix show itself. It's just they went too much into his like autism. I don't know.
I love the implication with that version of Kingpin, that if I was him, I would always offer to open doors for people going forward. Be like, hey, would you like to into the door? Into the doorway, please? Would you like?
Yeah. But going back to Planet Hulk. Just compare this piece of animated film to some of the modern stuff Marvel is doing today. I somewhat recently did a reaction video with a friend, Kratos, reacting to Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man animated show.
Yeah.
Good Lord, that was absolutely atrocious.
I haven't even watched it. I didn't bother.
Don't bother. Bother watching my video, maybe.
Okay, I'll check it. I didn't even realize he had a video on it. I'll check it out. Sure.
Yeah.
Anytime if it's something I'm kind of vaguely interested in the source material, but don't want to bother to watch it, that's more often than I will watch the video of someone I know for it.
Yeah. So I just react to parts of it. I've tried to avoid copyright as much as possible, and just difficult. Like a watch party.
Disney's a little bit easier, but that's probably that's actually probably Sony.
I made like all the precautions, and I think I went a little overboard. Yeah, Disney just didn't strike it whatsoever, so it's still up there, but it's just terrible. You could tell the writer wanted Miles Morales show, but instead opted for Peter Parker. They set him in a different school. The timelines don't match up. Like, everything needs to be somewhat related to the MCU and with these new animated shows. I mean, the what ifs are also completely atrocious, uncreative ideas. Again, I'm just starting to think like maybe the MCU has been a detriment, because these animated films, especially the DC ones, they follow the comics kind of closely. And sometimes make really good changes, like Under the Red Hood. Instead of Superboy Prime punching the universe and resurrecting the Red Hood, they make it into a Lazarus pit. I reckon that's a pretty good change. Makes it much more simple. And it's such a shame that Marvel doesn't continue these animated films, because through these animated films, you could introduce people to the comic storylines. And that's how I got into the comics initially, because I live usually lived in places where there weren't any comic book stores, like, at all.
Yeah.
Probably if you'd show my neighbor a comic book, he wouldn't even know what the hell one is. But these animated films.
Dude, do you live in like 1480?
Yeah,
Like,
what is this?
First, it was like a little, really small town in Poland, in the middle of nowhere.
Okay, so
I was there for, like,
1480 is
5 years.
probably pretty accurate then. So it's,
Yeah. So, yeah. And then when I was 5, I moved to kind of England, again, next to a pretty small town that didn't really have comic book stores.
I find
like,
Europe
down to the
amazing.
store.
It's like big city and then just a bunch of tiny villages.
Yeah.
It's like big city, villages, big city in a different country.
Yeah. And as a young kid, you don't know exactly how to get to those big cities on your own. So it's just like, how the hell are you going to get a comic book? But yeah, these animated films are a great way to introduce you to the comic storyline. And I really wish.
No, I 100% agree with that. I think I do agree that the MCU and it at first it was such a great thing because it broadened people to a lot of characters that maybe weren't as popular. Iron Man is one of the most popular Marvel characters now, specifically because of the MCU. There was times where his book was nearly canceled for years because he was a B and C tier character. Now he's one of their A-listers. So it was doing great things. Captain America became, people used to write Captain America off as, he's just a goody two-shoes fucking weirdo. Like, so it did great things for for mid to smaller characters, but it also had this ripple effect of we need everything to somehow channel back into it, as you're kind of saying.
Yeah.
And yes, I wish that they would have kept this stuff going. DC did a better job. They've done a much better job of separating their live, and now their live for the most part sucks. They've had a few hits there, here and there, but for the most part, it's been pretty bad. Animation usually fantastic, and but they always kept them separate. And yeah, I mean, I would have loved to see this one get the continuation it deserved. The World War Hulk. They probably would have had to do a Civil War cartoon to make that make sense, like what's going on, like what led, because the two of them converge into one another. So it's Planet Hulk and Civil War going on, and then they both kind of go like this into World War Hulk. So yeah,
wow.
I mean,
so right after Civil War, Hulk drops in, decides to smash everybody in.
It's a little bit after. It's a little bit after the death of Steve Rogers. And
damn.
Which is
so that just seems like rubbing salt on the wound, basically. Like the Earth was already screwed.
Yeah, because it was the new Avengers had already begun at that point. So it was maybe I want to say it's hard because, like I said, the timelines don't match up fully because Sakaar has a weird, time frame.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you kind of did what I was going to ask is like, what was your like final thoughts on it? And you basically went that direction already.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Joe, why don't you go next?
I really think there's much more to jump off with. Yeah, the problem is they did a really good job with this one. They should have continued it. I don't think they knew back then of what they actually had. And it does feel like a lot of these movies that we go over, it's like, wow, these were pretty good. What happened? Maybe it wasn't so popular back then, but where the popularity of the MCU is, where it's at now, I think if this movie came out now, it would probably springboard it because more people would watch it and appreciate it for what it was, I think. And then we would have probably gotten continuations and spin-offs and really good animated movies. But nope, we're left with What If and the Spider-Man show and what other god-awful thing they're going to pop out next week, probably.
Yep.
So Marvel has this history with abandoning good to great products. When the first cartoons were coming out, you had the X-Men and Spider-Man, both very successful. X-Men so successful years later they would continue it.
Wasn't there like Silver Surfer show as well?
There was a Silver Surfer show. There was a Fantastic Four show. There was an Iron Man show, Incredible Hulk, an older Avengers one that was like a lot of the B tier characters. And there was a couple others too, and a lot of them weren't amazing, but like they were first season. And if you go back and watch the first season of X-Men and Spider-Man, they were still getting their legs. They didn't quite have it figured out yet. And I think had some of these characters, maybe some of them should have been folded into each other. Maybe they shouldn't have been an Iron Man cartoon. He should have just been part of the Avengers. maybe the Incredible Hulk also as well. Like they should have just did it that way, which was kind of what they would go on to do with Earth's Mightiest Heroes, which also only got one season. They tended to abandon things quickly, mostly because of ratings, because they weren't getting watched yet. But a lot of times it was because they weren't on long enough to gather this fan base. I mean, Earth's Mightiest Heroes to this day still has a huge fan base, but a lot of people didn't discover it until later. So it's one of those things. I wish that they would have stopped doing that for great products.
Definitely. And these animated films, at the end of the day, they serve as a great blueprint that definitely should be replicated in film. But no, there's always that sense of like, oh, animation is for kids, live action is superior, especially with recent remakes and whatnot, like How to Train Your Dragon and Stitch. Let's remake it into live action kind of thing. There's that kind of a mentality, which is a shame. But hey.
Well, that's but yeah, that was World War Hulk. Quite possibly, it's definitely in my top 3 of the animated movies for like comics.
I would definitely put Doctor Strange up there for me. I really wish the MCU Doctor Strange would have followed it a bit more. That specific one, because there seems to be a lot better of an incorporation of Dormammu in it as well. And this kind of, I just thought it was really rushed, and the origin story is really pivotal to Doctor Strange. I don't feel like they focused on it enough about his hands. They didn't even mention Stephen's sister in that film.
No.
Which is, I just feel like Doctor Strange, the first one, was incredibly wasted potential. Whereas Iron Man, like the first Iron Man movie, explored a lot to do with the character. So.
They at that point they were kind of on cruise control with a lot of the introductions just to get them out.
Just use the blueprint of the animated film. The animated movie kind of just really great. Why it really explores why Doctor Strange does what he does. But whatever.
But that just leaves us with go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
They only briefly mentioned the sister in Doctor Strange. Multiverse of Madness, I guess.
For a second.
But you use these animated movies as blueprints. If AMCU is rebooting, definitely use these films as more of a blueprint. I'd highly recommend that.
Wasn't that kind of dumb that Doctor Strange, of Sinister Strange, X Doctor Strange, to tell him something from his life that only he would know in a universe of multiverses where everything is completely different?
Yeah, like technically you can't. Nothing
wait a second. You also had a sister that drowned, and all these events happened exactly the same.
It's a nexus point. It must always happen.
It's a canon event. Yeah, don't get me to Spider-Verse now. Jeez.
Uncle Ben must always die. So actually, I do play. The game is like falling apart, but for years I've played Marvel Snap, which is like a online.
I have it on my. Really?
Yeah. You could even do it. You can do it on the phone or the.
I've just played it before the stream. Okay.
And they have the Uncle Ben card, which if it dies, Spider-Man arrives.
Spider-Man.
But there's they recently did like a reveal of like it will revive all your cards, even Uncle Ben, and I was like, no, you should have said it should specifically say on there except Uncle Ben. Like you guys missed the golden opportunity.
Canon event. Yeah. And the 2099 card should always go after Miles Morales. That's what I
Should always, if Miles Morales is on the field, it should always kill him. But that just leaves us with everybody's favorite segment, and that is time to plug your shit. This is when you tell us where you are, where we could find you, all of that bullshit that I don't want to say because it's morning. And we only have one guest today, so it's going to be nice and easy. True Pop, what is you already sort of told us about your one video that I'm going to go check out, but what did you have recently?
I recently uploaded just like a meme edits of a certain dinosaur debate, so you guys can check that out. Yeah.
I was so happy. I was so happy.
I was like telling him, "Oh, thanks for making me Google elephant poo," because you kind of mentioned it. And you're like, "What? What are you talking about?"
I don't have to troll you on Reddit. Like, I always love when I find like what you find you on Reddit, and I'm just like, hey, what are you doing here? Why am I not on this?
Like,
What's going on?
the reception of that video, like people are like having real deep debates. Like, okay, cool. I like
Having been on that open bar, I can tell you, I tried multiple times to get a point in edgewise, and it was just like it was a verbal equivalency of haymakers back and forth between Drinker and Mauler, and like you can hear me like trying to be like, but
yeah. I had to listen to it a lot, so I could hear you like kind of like trying to get a word in.
All of us were doing it. I think what was it? Mr. H was on that one as well, and I think Random Film Talk was on it. We were all trying to like make a point, and neither of them would let. Like they were just going at it. They were like, no.
I mean, it all stems from that Drinker doesn't like zoos. That's what.
Yeah, Drinker doesn't like zoos or leaving the house. Apparently,
well, in this weather, I would not blame him the slightest. Yeah.
But yeah, it was great to have you on. I know I kind of sprung this one on you. Luckily, you answered because our other guest didn't arrive today. It's fine though.
I'd be happy to join in the future for any other.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll send you the list. You know, you're always welcome. And I'm just going to point out, I just noticed it now, but Joe, you spelled your name wrong.
Oh.
It's Walward. Walward Joe. Walworld War Joe.
I'll see myself out then.
It's fine. It took me till now to notice it. Nevertheless, anybody else. I mean, when we did the one with Mauler, I didn't even realize I didn't have a avatar the entire time. So but what do you have coming up? I know it's going to be busy for a lot of people, but you're probably going to be pretty busy in the next couple days.
Every day it's new Doomsday updates. Apparently they're bringing the What If characters into it. So obviously Captain Carter is going to save the multiverse. It just shows, okay, who's the main lead. Is going to be Sam Wilson lead in this movie. It's like, I don't think they have a single idea what's going on. The script keeps getting rewritten. Like I said, Marvel just...
They're currently filming it, yeah.
Yeah, but they apparently they don't have a completed script, and it's like, oh, the new Avengers are gonna fight Sam's Avengers. It's like, you don't have time for this. So yeah, I just have a lot of Marvel stuff coming up. It seems.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'm shocked that they haven't got Captain Carter and more involved. Yeah, maybe because she was committed to filming with Mission Impossible, so she wasn't as available.
Oh, she'll be back. She's gonna be the main focus, I imagine.
I mean, I don't mind looking at more Haley Atwell. I'm not gonna lie. So yes, like, that's one DEI replacement I'm okay with. It's like, but they do strap way too much on her body, and we need less. We need to go like video game armor style. Like, I think that's what we need to do. Vibranium bikini is what I would like to see. And but yeah, once again, thank you for putting this together with the this one. Like I said, this was a bit of a sprung up on us, so I wasn't quite as prepared. Nobody was quite as prepared for this one, but it was still fun nonetheless. And as for me, the stuff I have coming up, obviously the Ironheart, which now they made my life more difficult by doing it in two drops instead of originally. I was like, okay, I could deal with the 3 episodes, and then they're going to do one, and I can catch up. And nope, they're like, well, you have 1 week to put out your video for the first 3 episodes, and then we're going to drop the next one. So I'll be working on that, and then obviously, what's after that? I might, like I said, backstage, I might skip Jurassic World only because of the timing, and then do, I guess Superman's right after that. So we'll see how it works out. It's going to be a busy time.
It's those big 3 movies, and then what's after that? Really?
I don't know. I don't really look that. I usually only look about like a month out, and then if I know there's something that is like
the Odyssey.
There's the Odyssey. Yeah. But I don't know if that's going to be.
Because I'm looking at a list right now of biggest movies in 2026. We got Scary Movie, Hunger Games, Ice Age 6.
There's another Hunger Games coming out.
Oh yeah, they're gonna jump on
with Haymitch. Yeah, the cast is a pretty good actor, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just take breaks now. I used to try to like find the thing in the middle, and now I'm just like, whatever, I'll just do the live show for a little while. But I just want to thank you both for coming on. I see Jamalama's already upset that he's like, okay, well, hello and goodbye. Just rewind it and watch the whole thing over again. So we'll be back not next
2 weeks,
week.
I think.
2 weeks. Yeah, we're gonna have
Patriots.
the Patriot. Yes, I have
Yeah,
History Bro and Box Office Brawler are gonna be on that one. Both of them making their debuts, so it's pretty cool. But other than that, does anybody have any last words to say before I hit the end stream button?
And we'll actually see if it ends this time.
Yes, actually, if it doesn't end, I'm gonna laugh. So let's see. Actually, let's give this a shot, everybody. Bye.
So let's
It didn't
discuss.
end.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's still live. We're still live.
It's still live. What the
what
hell? Why does
is
it
the
do that?
worst?
We're live.
You know, I hate my fans. I really do. I don't know why they watch my show.
They got nothing else going on, it seems.